The U.S. Arab Radio Network is the largest Arab and Muslim radio network in America, broadcasting throughout the Midwest region Monday through Friday on WNZK AM 690. U.S. Arab Radio features Arabic and English language programming on every topic, from health, food, and culture to government, politics, and legal issues. Listen live to U.S. Arab Radio in Michigan, Toledo, Ohio, and Windsor, Canada on WNZK AM 690. And in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia on WDMV 700 AM. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. So join us every day on the U.S. Arab Radio Network and check out our website at www.arabradio.us.
And welcome, everybody, to Two Guys on Politics. I'm Ray Hanania with co-host Bill Lipinski, our former congressman from Illinois. And this is Season 5, Episode 12. Two Guys on Politics is broadcast on the U.S. Arab Radio Network on WNZK AM 690 radio, as well as on YouTube at twoguysonpolitics.com. In today's Two Guys on Politics video podcast, we're going to discuss a range of topics. Of course, the war in Iran is always number one. What's going on? Is it a ceasefire? Is it not a ceasefire? What about the threats, the destruction? What's happening with that? We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening with that. I interviewed one of the leaders of one of the largest Iranian American organization, which wants regime change, but they're pretty upset with President Trump. They're not happy. And we're going to talk about whether maybe that had an impact on Trump, who is on the verge of destroying Iran and seemingly back down. Who benefits from this conflict in Iran? Iran, China, Russia. We're going to look at that. We'll talk a little bit about that also. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Democratic Party. Do they still exist? I don't know. But they released their platform, and Bill is going to help us understand what it is that they're doing. They seem to be on the wrong path again. And I think part of the reason we're where we're at, I think, is that they did a poor job in the last couple of elections. We're also going to talk about the issue of parental authority being challenged. It's not discrimination against gays and transgender when you say that children who are under the age of adulthood, 18, should be cared for by their parents and should be raised by their parents, not by outside laws and activist groups. And maybe we can also talk a little bit about Don Tracy, the Republican Illinois candidate for governor. He says the issue is the economy. It's the economy, stupid. It's not like we haven't heard that before, but it seems like a lot of people aren't really talking about it. And finally, if we do have time, Melania Trump, is it artificial intelligence? Was she really dating Epstein? And what happened to the Epstein files? Anything coming out? All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back right after these messages.
When the aroma of Mahmoud Saleh Basmati fills the air, you know it's going to be a good meal. Extra long pearly white grains that cook up fluffy, separate, and light. Never heavy, never sticky, just pure, fragrant perfection. It's the rice that feels as good as it tastes, gentle on the stomach and full of energy. Elevate your everyday. Ask for Mahmoud Basmati at your supermarket and taste the difference.
Do you receive SNAP food assistance? When it's time to update your information, it's important to keep your information fresh and report any changes to your income, employment, family situation, or address. Life changes. Make sure your benefits keep up. Together, we can help keep food on the table. Learn more at michigan.gov/food assistance. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
After years of war, displacement, and loss, the silence left behind is the heaviest part. In Gaza, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen, families are trying to begin again. Their children aren't asking for the impossible, they're just asking for a chance. At this critical moment, education is more than a classroom, it's a lifeline. It restores dignity, heals trauma, and opens the door to a future that war tried to close. Life for Relief and Development stands by these families. We move beyond emergency aid to provide the stability of long-term education in conflict zones. This Ramadan, your gift, even $50 or $100, can change a child's story from a victim of war to a student of the future. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 800-827-3543. Life for Relief and Development. Together, we build beyond war.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
I'm Ray Hanania.
I'm Bill Lipinski, and this is Two Guys on Politics. And the next voice you hear will be the voice of, I won't say, he can say it himself, but his name is Ray Hanania.
Thank you, Bill. Bill Lipinski, former congressman from, I think it was the district was originally the 5th district, wasn't it?
That is correct, yes.
And then it was redrafted to the 3rd district, redrawn to the 3rd district for a while. And you served there 22 years?
22 years, that is correct.
Wow, as long as Richard J. Daley served as mayor, right?
I think so, yes.
So you have a lot of experience. I'm really proud to be on with Bill because he does bring a lot of experience to the show here in terms of what can or can't be done in Congress and insight on what's happening in the world. Bill, of course, the war in Iran, they say there's a ceasefire, but it doesn't really sound like it. There's ceasefire and talk, but there's still bombings, and there's the Strait of Hormuz is still blocked. There's talk about Trump wants anybody that goes through the Strait of Hormuz to pay $2 million. $1 million to him. Doesn't say where that million's going to go. I think we know. And $1 million to the Iranians if they agree to some ceasefire. So
now you are being facetious there about $1 million to Trump, I hope.
Well, no, that's what I've heard. He wants to take $1 million, but he doesn't say what he's going to do with that million. Remember when he created the Board of Peace? You know, right. It's supposed to bring peace to Gaza. $10 million he took from the U.S. budget for that board, which he runs. It's not independent. It's a private organization. We just basically donated it. But there is so much going on in the world, nobody cares. You know, Bill, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? When there's so much going on, you can get away with murder. That's what it almost sounds like at the national level.
Chaos and confusion.
Yeah,
that's what the president likes. Okay, Ray, now tell me, how did we manage to get to this point where the Persians and the Americans supposedly agreed upon a ceasefire, but the strait's not open? The Israelis are still attacking in Lebanon, and the Persians are still sending out missiles attacking the other Gulf Coast states. So what kind of ceasefire is this?
I don't think it's a real ceasefire. I think it's a step back by Trump. He's trying to pull it back, make it look like he isn't as crazy as he is, because he went off the deep end. You know, in his rhetoric, he's going to bomb bridges. He's going to bomb power stations. He's going to bomb the Iranians back to the Stone Age. He's going to end the Iranian civilization. And even before he said some of that stuff, there are a lot of people, including Republicans, who are upset with what he's doing because this war is driving up the price of everything in this country. And I think he's reacting to the backlash. So when he said that they had 24 hours, remember it was Tuesday? If they didn't respond by Tuesday, it'd be over with. Well, today is Friday and nothing's over with. And he's sending Vice President J.D. Vance, you know, who I have no respect for, to meet with the Iranians, and I think in Pakistan they're acting as the
It's Pakistan. Yes.
as the media moderators of this peace talk. Jared Kushner, I met him when I was in Miami, and I got a chance to listen to him. And I got to tell you, he's much better when you hear what he has to say than what the media says about him, because it turns out he was very pro-Palestinian when he was trying to negotiate this stuff. But the media made it out like he was just going to destroy Gaza and destroy the Palestinians and build all these luxury hotels and things. It was completely different when I listened to him, and it was amazing to me that he's mischaracterized by like that. I don't think he was just lying, but he's at the negotiations too, and that's the only hope that I think I have that maybe we'll actually get something done there.
Well, what about Witkoff? What do you think of him?
I think he's just a toady for Trump. I don't have any respect for him. In fact, a lot of the people, Kristi Noem, she's gone. My dog is so happy. My dog is excited. You know, he doesn't fear getting shot on the street anymore. She was thrown out. She never should have been there. You know, anyway, it just, these are kind of the choices that Trump has made that I think are a little embarrassing, and they've turned on him and they bit him, you know, and I think he's trying to recover from some of these dumb choices that he's made. But I don't think he can repair the damage that he's caused by some of these appointments.
All right. Well, listen, in your opinion, why do we have this alleged ceasefire at the present time? How do we get to that point?
I believe Trump is looking at the reality of the polling, his significant loss of support being driven by the economy. I think mostly, I don't think anybody really cares about the Iran regime. I think they care about the impact that they're having on their lives. You know, costs are going up. Many people, not just for Democrats, but for Republicans too, they got to pay the same price we pay. So I think he's trying to recover some strength going into this midterm election, but I think it's too late. So that's what I think he's doing. This is all about the elections in November. He's worried, and I think this is a reflection of his worry. What do you think?
Well, I've been a very strong supporter of his wanting to get rid of the regime in Persia, as I keep calling it, to differentiate itself from the rest of those Arab nations over there. I've been a very big supporter of it. But if we wind up with the regime in place, no matter how many boats we sank, no matter how many planes we shot down, no matter how many missiles we shot down, no matter how many launchers we blew up, I don't think it was worth it, because the regime is still in place.
That's all right. That's all right.
Their two allies, Russia, China, are going to resupply the Iranian regime. And within 6 months, 9 months, a year, we'll be right back to where we started from after spending all this money, losing a number of American lives. So I will be very, very disappointed if we wind up where we're at. If I was running this war, I'd get 4 or 5 destroyers, send them into the straits, and I think we could take out all of the weapons that the Iranians have and open up that strait by force. Once we did that, then I would sit down with the regime and I'd say, here's what we're going to do. You're finished. You're out. I don't want to blow up any bridges. I don't want to kill any other people, but you're out. Now, if you don't want to retire and go to one of your favorite countries, we'll have to resume bombing your country. But I don't think he'll do that, because if he does that, he'll lose more political support, because it might necessitate putting some boots on the ground. And he's not going to do that, not because he doesn't want to, but because his support amongst the people will probably go down to about 5%. That's my position on this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to see a regime change, but it's not going to happen. We can take out their leaders. They come up with a new level of leaders. In fact, I was talking to the head of the Public Affairs Alliance of Iranian Americans. They're the biggest and oldest Iranian American organization, and they did support 2 things. They support regime change, and they also support taking out Iran's nuclear weapons program. Beyond that, though, they're very upset with everything that Trump and Israel has been doing. A lot of people believe that this war is being fought for Israel, and that Israel is the one that created this fantasy argument that the Iranians were on the verge of launching nuclear weapons against the United States. I think at one point Trump said they were within 2 weeks of nuclear weapons. This was after last June when we bombed them we obliterated their nuclear program, remember? And suddenly within 6 months, they're able to come back. I think people are troubled not by the facts that are stated, but by the confusion that Trump can't get his story straight, that it's not us driving the war. We've always wanted the Iranians out, to have a better regime. I think there are very few Americans that disagree with that. But I think there's a reality too, Bill. We tried that in Afghanistan. It didn't work. And they were weaker than Iran. We tried it in Iraq. It didn't work. And how many Americans and resources did we spend? How many lives did we lose, for a justified cause to take out Al-Qaeda, after September 11th? But it doesn't work. And I think that people are starting to see that it's not working in Iran. And we can keep taking out their leaders, but they're a different kind of country. They're not like ours.
Well, I think that the first mistake that was made was that Trump did not bother to explain to us why we were going into this war. Now,
Right.
Someone who follows the situation in the world as closely as you do and as closely as I do, and many other people, understood the regime was very bad.
Right.
We understand that the regime would like to get an atomic weapon so they could then threaten not only us, but many other countries around the world. But Trump didn't explain any of that. He didn't consult any of our allies in Europe. Okay? He just rushed right into it. Now, I don't agree with you that the Israelis pushed us into it. I think the only thing the Israelis did was to say, we know about a meeting that's going to take place on a Saturday morning where the Ayatollah and 40 of his top people are all going to be. If you want to attack them, we can probably get rid of the regime. And unfortunately, Trump went along and did it. And as I say, once again, I want people to understand, I support getting rid of the regime. Okay? I didn't like the way Trump has conducted this. There's many things I don't like about the way Trump does things. But many times his goal is very good. Now, but at the present time, it seems to me that we have alienated our allies in Europe, NATO, okay? They haven't helped us. They don't want to help us. They want to stay as far away from this as possible, with a few exceptions. Those are the countries that are very close to Russia, all right? Anybody a little bit further west, they don't want to have anything to do with what we're doing in the Middle East at the present time. The Gulf states, from what I understand, have all rallied to our side, to be against the Iranians. But if we pull out and the regime is still in place, those countries are going to be very, very unhappy with us because you know as well as I do, once they get their muscle back, they're going to come after those Gulf Coast states. And we're not going to be there to protect them. So if we allow this ceasefire to go ahead, we wind up with, I don't know what, as far as a victory. Because I think now that the Persians have closed the straits one time and find out how much money they can make off of it, they're going to try to continue to do so. Now, we could send 3 or 4 destroyers in there, I think, and take care of the whole thing. But we're not going to do that. We're just backing off from this situation. And I'm very, very disappointed in it. And when it's all is said and done, I guess it was a mistake. I guess the people who have been against this war from the beginning were right. I wasn't there. I was supportive of it, but I'm afraid the people who opposed it were right. I don't know what else to say about it anymore, Ray.
No, I know but it's like costing us. It's continuing. It dominates the news. That's the problem with this issue. I don't know what to say about it either. and yet we're stuck in the middle of this stupid war. I only disagree with one thing that you said,
Yes.
and that is that we could send in these battleships and destroy Iran. I don't believe that. I don't believe that there is any path to victory in Iran for the United States, short of sending 1 million American soldiers to take over every city in Iran, something that we wouldn't even do in Iraq or Afghanistan. Even the amount of effort and arms that we put into those wars, we could triple it in Iran, and Iran is 100 times stronger than any other nation. Here's the thing that I disagree with about the nuclear option.
Jump in there for
Go
one
ahead.
second.
Go ahead.
I simply said the destroyers could open up the straits. That I believe that we could definitely do. I
disagree.
I don't think it'd take away the regime at all, but I believe we could open up the straits if we put American destroyers in there.
I disagree with you on that respectfully. Okay. I don't think there's any way to open up those straits if the Iranians don't want to open it up. I think that's why we're stuck where we're at. Now, here's the interesting thing. Who loses when the straits are closed? Not us, but all our allies.
Correct.
All our allies, all the people that we need. If there's ever a World War III, or I don't even know if we've gone through World War III, maybe we have, we don't even know it. Whatever world war comes up, if we don't have the support of NATO and the Western European countries, because we've slapped them around, we've disrespected them, we've not supported them, we're in trouble because we're the target of a lot of this. But here's the question I had about the nuclear weapons. Why would Iran really need its own nuclear weapons? From when you listen to the Iranians, they said they wanted nuclear energy. They wanted nuclear power. They are the allies of Russia and China. If they wanted nuclear weapons, they could get them from the Russians. I really believe that. They didn't need to develop it. This is all, in my opinion, and I know we disagree on this, this is all about Israel's insane government wanting to take out a country that, and they think they're going to use us to do it, and it's not going to be possible. And I think this is all because of Israel's government, which is just as bad. Not Israel, but Israel's government is just as bad as the Iranian regime. We need regime change in Israel's government, and we need regime change in Iran if we're ever going to have peace.
Well, you know a great deal about the Middle East, but I have to disagree with you. I don't think it's Israel's fault. There's no reason that Israel should have pushed us into that war or could have pushed us into that war. Israel does whatever we tell them to do, not vice versa. But I'll tell you, the country that could give the Persians an atomic weapon and might be willing to do so is North Korea.
There you go. I mean, what's craziness is North Korea. You think Iran is worse than North Korea? No. North Korea, they're insane. We need regime change there. Why not attack there? I'll tell you why.
After Cuba, we're going there.
Listen, we're not going to go after North Korea because Israel doesn't want us to go after North Korea. Israel does a lot of business with North Korea on the side, and they are not going to ruin that economic balance.
What kind of business did they do?
All kinds of business. They do a lot of business with the countries that we often are at war with. So it's really interesting that, we're the most educated country in the world, but the least educated about the world, Bill. I'm sorry to say that. And I'm not sure if it's because our school systems are terrible. We keep lowering the
it's probably all those
competency.
It's probably all those Jewish professors. That's probably
no, not at all. A lot of American Jews are against Israel's government. I think the majority of American Jews are against Israel's government, and we saw that in the last election with how AIPAC really got beat in a lot of elections. They're not dumb. AIPAC is one of the smartest political action committees out there, the wealthiest, but they took a beating in Illinois. A lot of their candidates, some of them did win, but a lot of them lost. And it really...
There were two congressional races.
But the big one was in the 9th district where they wanted Laura Fine, and she came in third, as it turns out.
Yes, she
Kat
did.
Abu Ghazala was going to win. She's a Palestinian Christian.
How that one that finished second ever finished second is beyond my comprehension. Since you told me about her, I've read up on her. Oh, man.
You got to stop reading that right-wing, garbage from the Trumpsters.
Yeah, it was in The Nation.
There you go. That says it all right there, The Nation. The right wing isn't the same right wing that we had 30 years ago, Bill. The right and the left are completely different. Both of them are off the deep end.
Why we're still friends and still talking? Why don't we move on to another topic?
Well, it's not going to make us unfriends because we have differences of opinions. I know that. I just want to say, though, that I did interview the head of the Public Affairs Alliance of Iranian Americans. I wrote a story on it that's in the Arab News. And she's very strong. Her name is Neda Baluchi, and she is the executive director and leader. They want regime change, but she said something that I thought was very interesting. She said Iran's society is different from a lot of societies that we've gone to war with. Iran's society, their government, I should say, not society, is horizontal, meaning the leadership, it goes straight down, but they're underneath each other. And the leaders just keep growing from underneath. In Iraq, Afghanistan, in a lot of countries, she said that the leadership is vertical. You take out the leadership, it's over. It's done. Like we went to Venezuela, we took out the president there, and we've done this in a couple countries, and it's over and change comes. Iran, she says, is completely different. The only way to do this is and they don't favor boots on the ground, but she says it's very challenging. They do want regime change, but it's not going to be easy. That's the message that I got out of the interview with her, that this is very delicate. And Trump lost a lot of support among Iranian Americans who want regime change because of his rhetoric. His rhetoric, they're going to destroy Persian civilization. They're going to send them back to the Stone Age. That frightened a lot of Iranian Americans because their relatives still live, in Iran. They have family that still live there. Not everybody that was associated with the Shah was able to escape. The man that we put in power and was a dictator and tyrant. This group, by the way, there's another Iranian group where the Shah's son is the head of it.
Yes.
And they talk about installing him as the new leader of Iran if we can just get regime change, but I don't believe that's ever going to happen.
Well, I don't believe he has the support of the Iranian people because of what you had to say about the Shah. Yeah, the Shah wasn't the greatest guy in the world, as you have said.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
But why? By now, people should realize, many of the things that Trump says means nothing.
He's the president.
I don't care. It doesn't mean a thing if he's president. It's what he does. It's the only thing that's important, not what he says.
That's scary, though, Bill. That is really scary. And I understand your point. I'm not criticizing you, but it's scary that we have a president that just ignore what he says. It's what he does. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, what kind of leader is that? It's insane. It's psychotic.
Well, I'm not going to defend the guy. But I wish people were more, in tune really to what he says and what he does, because there's a tremendous difference between what he says and what he does. But okay, go ahead.
No, but I'm saying that's to me is disconcerting and it's worrisome about the future of this country under him. I think he just sees the signs that he's going to lose big in November. He's doing what he can now to change it. You watch, I think he's going to soften up on a lot of things. He's going to try to do things to win back the support that I think he's lost, mainly because of the economy. Well, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, let's talk about some of this stuff, the economy, the Democrats who released their platform. Are they addressing the right things? And the Republican candidate for governor in Illinois, he's the only one that I've heard talk about the economy in Illinois. None of the Democrats are talking about what they're going to do about the economy. All right, we'll be right back right after these messages.
Do you receive SNAP food assistance? When it's time to update your information, it's important to keep your information fresh and report any changes to your income, employment, family situation, or address. Life changes. Make sure your benefits keep up. Together, we can help keep food on the table. Learn more at michigan.gov/food assistance. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
A car accident can change your life in an instant. As a result of a car accident, you may become unemployed. As a result of a car accident, you may need a lot of medical treatment. People think that insurance companies are on their side. Why? Because they're giving them one or two benefits. Are they giving them all the benefits they deserve? How would one know unless you consult with an attorney? Call the law offices of Jumana Kiruz at 248-557-3645. 248-557-3645.
Are you going to start a restaurant or grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Najee Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Najee Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Najee Abood, 734-744-9796.
Want to stay in the driver's seat of your health? My Mobile Health units remove barriers to getting prevention healthcare services. My Mobile Health brings free or low-cost services to local communities, so you can easily access health screenings, lab tests, vaccines, guidance, and more. We're paving the way to better health. See when and where we're rolling into your community at michigan.gov/mobilehealth. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
And welcome back to Two Guys on Politics. I'm Ray Hanania.
I'm Bill Lipinski, and the next voice you hear, as I've often said, is almost the voice from heaven, Ray Hanania.
Almost. My mother's from Bethlehem. Jesus is my cousin. I always like to say that. So,
yes,
listen, the Democrats were talking about policies and issues, and I don't know, they seem to be on the wrong path. What do you think, Bill?
Well, I think if they just keep attacking Trump, they will probably win the House and the Senate in the midterm elections. But I've been listening to some of the speeches they've been giving at this conference that they've been having in New York. They have been they have been advocating things for the poor, undocumented immigrants that are in this country. You know, give them health care, find them a job, stop persecuting them. I don't think that goes over very well with a lot of Republicans or independents. Right. They've also talked about, allowing this transgender issue be determined by children and not by their parents. I think that is a terrible mistake on their part. Okay. And they want to reintroduce affirmative action across the board. Now, those are three issues that definitely have not been supported by the majority of Americans for a number of years. Many of them were never supported with any kind of percentage whatsoever. But this is what they're talking about. Now, if they incorporate those kind of issues into their platform, I think that they may be able to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
I agree with you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Bill. I think you're absolutely right. I think the Democrats have stumbled into a circumstance where Trump is undermining himself, not because of the Democrats, but because of Trump himself undermining his own base, doing things that his own base doesn't want, losing the conservative Democrats like you and me from our group, whether we voted for him or not is irrelevant. But I think this is a case where Trump is losing it, and the Democrats are getting cocky, and they're getting maybe like, hey, we've done something. No, the Democrats have done nothing. The only thing the Democrats have done nationally, not locally, nationally, is to set up the stage so Donald Trump could win the election a year and a half ago. They're the reason why Trump won. It wasn't because he was so great. It was the Democrats were so bad. Joe Biden was terrible. Kamala Harris couldn't focus. And it looks like they're going back. The Democrats could turn this whole thing around and make it much closer. I agree with you that Democrats are going to win the House, and I believe they're going to win the Senate. But I think that the margin is going to decrease the more the Democrats open their mouths and say some of the stupidest things I've ever heard. You are absolutely right. Don't let government should stay out of my house and not tell me what to do with my children. They're my kids until they're 18 years old. Whatever they do on their own, and I'll stand by them. But until they're 18, do not tell me what my child, my son, my daughter, whether they're transgender, whether they're gay, it's none of your business, the public. It's the government.
Can you tell me one issue that the independents support that the Democrats support?
Well, I think it depends on who you mean by independents. I mean, there's a lot of leftists that don't support the Democrats or the Republicans, but they do support those issues, of transgender rights, gay rights. And it's not like you and I are not against gays or transgenders.
Oh, not at all.
I want them to be protected, have the same rights that we do. I just don't think that their lifestyle should be imposed on anything that I do. It's my choice until my kid is 18. And that's where I disagree. But I think they try to go further than that. They want to change the schools to teach kids things that really I don't think they should be taught. Bill, in a school system where we can't get to an 8th grade reading level for high school students, instead of increasing education, we downsize the level, the threshold, and say, well, a passing grade now would be as if you could read at the 5th grade level. You don't have to read at the 8th grade level. Now it's the 5th grade level. They keep lowering the threshold to make it look like things are doing well. That's what they should focus on. Instead, we're focused on all these ridiculous issues that have no place in our schools.
Well, I didn't mean to say that the independents didn't support any of the issues, but I think any of the issues that you or I have talked about here, if you poll them amongst the independents, they certainly would lose. To me, they would be something like 70% against them, 30% for them. That's the point that I was trying to make. So they're not going to pick up many independent voters by advocating these things. But all they have to keep doing is pointing out what Trump says and what Trump does. But they make so many mistakes. The other day, they were talking about how Trump was so terrible in conducting this war and how many people, innocent people, he was killing. And the next day, they're talking about how all Trump backed off as usual. He always does. He says this, he doesn't do it. I mean, they're very inconsistent. But one of the reasons for that is because they have so many, I hate to say it, far out people in the Democratic Party. They really cannot get together and advocate some sensible, reasonable positions that could win them so much of the independent voters in this country.
Yeah, see, I think it's both sides. I think the Republicans have a lot of wacky far-right people that are nuts. The left has a lot of wacky far-left people that are nuts. I think that if the Democrats continue on the course and they take away the focus from President Trump's poor leadership, because in my opinion, he is a poor leader. Everything that he said he was going to do, he hasn't done. He's a narcissist. All he cares about is himself. He wants to put his name on things. I don't think that's what Americans really want. And I think little by little, it erodes his support among his original supporters, especially the ones toward the center. Yeah.
I agree also with you that there's many wackos on the right in the Republican Party. Sometime we have to do a program on why we wound up being so split, so far apart in this country, why we have so The right is so radical and the left is so radical. What has happened? We had always been a centrist country. That's how we managed to become the powerhouse of this planet. But by the things that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party now stand for on their extremes, that's what's driving us apart. But why has that happened?
Yeah, I blame it on social media, and I'll tell you why. Social media has allowed everybody to be a commentator. And you and I know, because this is our profession in politics and journalism, that only the angriest people and emotional people are the ones that write letters and criticize and talk about stuff. The ones that are happy, 99% of the people out there never say nothing. But social media has allowed everybody to now easily engage in an emotional debate, and they get angry, they get upset. And I think that forces normal people to get angry, and they do crazy things when they're angry. We're losing common sense. And I really do blame it on social media. I can't trust any mainstream media anymore. The weakness of the news media is another contributor to this problem. I don't know who to turn to get good, solid leadership from in terms of facts. And we were talking earlier about artificial intelligence. There's no control over it. I don't know if I'm reading something that's the result of artificial intelligence or whether it's the result of hard, professional, investigative research by a professional who's trained to write a news story that's fair and objective and truthful. I think we've lost sight of all that, and I think that's created this polarization. I really believe that's the main fueling source.
What percentage of American citizens do you believe are tuned into social media?
I think more than we think. Because I'll tell you why. Social media does have a benefit along with the downside. The benefit is a relative. You have a relative that we're in Chicago. They may be down in Florida. I get to see the grandkids on social media. I get to see photos. I get to stay in touch with family members who don't live. When you and I were growing up, my whole family lived within a mile or two of each other in Chicago.
Right.
We would see each other every week, our relatives. I knew the neighbors. I knew every neighbor in Chicago on the Southeast side for blocks. And they knew me. And then what happened was we got into this society where today I think I've been in my home for 1985 until now, 40 years in Orland Park. I think I really know 3 neighbors in 40 years.
That's unbelievable.
It is. And it's a different kind of society that we live in, where we don't care about our neighbors or pay attention to them. You may know your neighbor, 1 or 2 neighbors, but you don't know anybody down the street. But we used to know everybody, and we used to protect each other, and we used to share a common interest. I think that's what our society has lost in part. And again, it's not the only reason, but I think social media, the collapse of the news media, the control of the wealthy over our corporations, it's greed and profit that's more important than good quality products now. It's just terrible. The whole situation, I think, is contributing to a downside, to our society today.
Well, you could be right. I'm going to investigate that more because I really don't think that social media has that much of an effect upon a lot of people. But, you may be right. I may be wrong. Something's driving us apart. There's no question about that.
Yeah. And then listen, one of the topics that I was hoping we'd talk about is, Don Tracy is the Republican candidate for governor. Now, yes. I like Ted Dabrowski. I think that was his name, Dabrowski. I didn't know much about him other than he was with the Illinois Policy Institute. I read all his stuff. What a smart guy he was. Don Tracy isn't bad. He's saying, hey, it's the economy, stupid. And all his press releases are focused on the horrible economy, the costs, not just those driven by Trump, but those driven by a greedy industry and society and retail industry that we have. He thinks that we need to do more to control these prices. And as far as I can tell, he's the only person talking about that issue. That impacts me more than Iran. I'm afraid of Iran, but every day I end up losing money and pay more in taxes. We live in the worst state when it comes to taxes. It's the worst, and it just keeps getting worse.
Well, the Democrats are supposed to be talking about affordability, and they were for a while, but they seem like they've gone away from that issue now. And I really don't know why that's the case. And Pritzker is, he's not worried about getting reelected as governor of Illinois. Unfortunately, he's campaigning for the presidency. So everything he does is, he does with the intentions of getting the Democratic nomination for president. And the only way he's going to get it is by continually moving left. No one that is anywhere near the center is going to be able to be nominated by the Democratic Party, because unfortunately the activists in the Democratic Party are really a bunch of extreme progressive left-wingers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that one of the big problems is that the Democrats are focused on the wrong topics. The problem is that the economy, in my opinion, is caused by Democratic policies that are intended to fund and support these extreme views and extreme policies. They want to take our money to make it easier for somebody to become a transgender at 6 years old, or
Right.
to become a gay person at 8. These are things that we shouldn't be funding. Those should be a personal choice. Yeah, maybe have hospital insurance cover it, but we live in a democratic state that economically is the worst, the second worst in the country. These democratic states are among the worst. And I find it really hard to trust them when they say they want to address the economy. I think that a Republican centrist is what we need in Illinois, not a Democratic extremist. And again, there are a lot of good Democrats, and I don't mean to knock them, but they need to break from some of these policies that they stand on. They may feel a little unsure of, or they're unwilling to criticize. They don't want to criticize it because they're afraid that they're going to lose their vote in this democratic state here. But we need somebody willing to stand up, a centrist who is a Democrat, who's conservative. And we don't have that.
No, we do not. I think that we need people in both parties to stand up and do what is best for America, and not what is best for the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. They should not be concerned with simply getting their party and keeping their party in power. They should be concerned about the issues that will move all Americans ahead and keep us as the leader of the free world. Of course, we have to get ourselves a new president in order to do that, because on the one hand, he says he's withdrawing from spending all this money on the world. On the other hand, we've been in Venezuela, we've been in Persia, and pretty soon we'll be in Cuba, and who knows where else after that. Very, very inconsistent policies.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, every day that I wake up, I deal with the cost of gasoline. I deal with the cost of groceries. I deal with the cost of healthcare. And I'm lucky that I have good healthcare, but that's only because I work like a maniac. Not everybody, they want to retire. I don't know how people retire today.
Nope,
just the average person. I don't understand how they can do that. And I think those are problems.
Most of them retire from their, the job they had for years, and they wind up getting a part-time job to make sure they can survive.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when they retired, I bet the retirement number looked great 20 years ago, and inflation killed that. And we're fueling inflation. I'm a big supporter of the military. I do not think that we should invest another $800 billion or $600 billion in our military just to fund the military industrial companies that create all these weapons and systems and buy from them. I think that's the wrong way to do it. We're increasing our debt. I can't even keep tabs of the trillions that we're passing on in our debt, and we're not answering. And those are the things that have the worst impact on us, but we don't see it right away. But those are the things that nobody seems to be addressing, the things that hurt us the most. Instead, we're talking about Iran. And honestly, we could have dealt with Iran. We didn't have to deal with it today. We could have figured out a better strategy to deal with it long term. We could have won over a lot of people. We could have ended the war in Ukraine. We could have done that. We could have done a lot of things and worked our way to a stronger nation. But I think it's scatterbrain policies that are really hurting us, that are responding to personal fears or greed and money.
Well, I'm glad to see you're upbeat today, Ray.
It's depressing. It got to be depressing. I'm an American. I love being an American, but it's depressing. The policies that we have to live with.
But you and I and others that feel like us have to find ways of bringing this country back together again, because we're not going to make the progress you and I want to make unless we are together. And right now we're so far apart, we cannot really accomplish anything of great significance.
Listen, I think that the Roman Empire went through this and collapsed. And that's what worries me. I'm not sure that, and again, we are only speculating on the causes for these problems. I have my theories, but we have nobody focused on it. Nobody is looking at it. They don't want to look at it because the people on the front lines are profiting. Every time I had somebody tell me that invests all the time that, if you're a friend of Donald Trump, if he says, hey, we're going to attack, they go out and buy certain stocks because they know an attack is going to, they drop the price of stocks and you could profit off of a collapse of the market. There's a way to, make money if the stocks drop significantly. If you know what's coming, you're going to make a lot of money. I really think, and I've seen people make that accusation, I think that one guy, Scaramucci, who used to be the spokesperson for Trump during the first term, he said that Trump is playing insider trading with his wealthiest buddies and letting them know what his policies are so they can invest in the market. That to me is like, we don't have time to investigate that because we're busy with the war in Iran. And I wonder why we had to make that move today compared with other days. Anyway, Bill, anything else?
No, Ray, I have nothing else to say other than may God be good to America and give us a sense to somehow come back together again.
Well, one day there's going to be a positive story we can talk about. I thought we had one last week, but we'll see. All right. I'm Ray Hanania.
I'm Bill Lipinski, and this is Two Guys on Politics, and we'll talk to you next week.
Join us again. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Arab Center Washington, D.C. was established in 2015 to serve as a Washington-based authoritative research center on the Arab world and U.S. policies in the region. My name is Khalil Jahshan, and I'm the Executive Director of Arab Center, Washington, D.C.
I am Tamara Kharoub. I'm the Deputy Executive Director and Senior Fellow here. Our mission at Arab Center, Washington, D.C. has been to provide Arab perspectives to U.S. policy conversations and to highlight rights-centered approaches to policymaking as a way to serve the causes of human rights, democracy, just and peaceful resolution to conflict, and constructive long-term U.S. interest in the region.
Our work also addresses fundamental aspects of U.S.-Arab relations through timely and objective academic research, policy analysis, and educational exchange, reaching millions of people here in the United States and around the world.
Since our inception, we invested in producing reliable, evidence-based, and inclusive analysis on important issues shaping the Middle East and North Africa.
We would like to invite you personally to check out our publications and events at arabcenterdc.org.
And please follow our social media platforms for timely responses to news, events, and current affairs.
arabcenterdc.org.
Do you receive SNAP food assistance? When it's time to update your information, it's important to keep your information fresh and report any changes to your income, employment, family situation, or address. Life changes. Make sure your benefits keep up. Together, we can help keep food on the table. Learn more at michigan.gov/food assistance. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Tired of the complexities of immigration? Haunted by the threat of deportation? Struggling to reunite with your family? Have you ever dreamed of living and working legally in America but don't know where to start? L. Sharnoby and Associates Law Firm, a leader in immigration and naturalization law, offers you legal support across the United States. We specialize in asylum, deportation defense, green cards and citizenship, family reunification, all types of immigration visas. Don't wait any longer. Contact us today and let our expertise lead you toward a secure and stable future. To schedule a consultation, call us at 313-581-9666. That's 313-581-9666. When the aroma of Mahmoud Saleh Basmati fills the air, you know it's going to be a good meal. Extra long pearly white grains that cook up fluffy, separate, and light. Never heavy, never sticky, just pure, fragrant perfection. It's the rice that feels as good as it tastes. Gentle on the stomach and full of energy. Elevate your everyday. Ask for Mahmoud Basmati at your supermarket and taste the difference. The U.S. Arab Radio Network is the largest Arab and Muslim radio network in America, broadcasting throughout the Midwest region Monday through Friday on WNZK AM 690. U.S. Arab Radio features Arabic and English language programming on every topic, from health, food, and culture to government, politics, and legal issues. Listen live to U.S. Arab Radio in Michigan, Toledo, Ohio, and Windsor, Canada on WNZK AM 690. And in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia on WDMV 700 AM. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. So join us every day on the U.S. Arab Radio Network and check out our website at www.arabradio.us.